A team sleeps in Mexico and crosses into enemy territory every match day, then returns before dark. By the end, you'll see why a correct referee decision became the most painful moment in a tournament shaped by decisions made off the pitch. If your country were at war with the World Cup host, would you still send the team? Picture this. February 28, 2026. Missiles already falling on Tehran. US and Israeli strikes killed Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, that same day. The opening move in a war that has since killed more than 1,200 people and wounded over 12,000 more. Iran responded with missiles and drones aimed at Israel and at US bases across the region. For a national football team, 3 months from the biggest tournament on earth, that timing is not background noise. Their head of state was already gone. Everything Iran does at this World Cup, every match, every decision, every headline, happens inside that shadow, starting with whether they'd even show up. But that's not the strangest part. Iran's own government said they wouldn't be here. Sports Minister Ahmad Donyamali went on state television and said plainly, under no circumstances would Iran send a team to a World Cup hosted, in his words, by the regime that killed their leader. That wasn't a throwaway line from a junior official. Donyamali runs Iranian sport. Iran came one statement away from boycotting. What changed it wasn't FIFA. It was a phone call between Donald Trump and FIFA President Gianni Infantino, after which Infantino said the Iranian team was, in his words, welcome to compete. The real cause was still hidden. Most World Cup teams pick a hotel close to their opening match and unpack. Iran couldn't even pick a country. The original plan was a base camp in Tucson, Arizona, inside the United States, like every other team. That plan collapsed when the US delayed and then denied visas to more than a dozen of Iran's own staff, including Federation President Mehdi Taj. Their own Federation President couldn't enter the country. Iran built a base camp across the border in Tijuana, Mexico, and started commuting into the country they're at war with for every single match. FIFA approved the move, but the symbolism was hard to miss. A World Cup team headquartered in another country entirely. Take the fans who did everything right. Iranian supporters bought World Cup tickets through the Federation's official channel. The same 8% allocation every one of the 48 teams gets under FIFA's own rules. The Federation had a license to sell. FIFA's own regulations guaranteed it. Then, gone. 3 days before the tournament opened, the entire allocation was withdrawn. Several thousand seats across SoFi Stadium and Lumen Field, vanishing without warning. Iran's federation called it unprecedented and demanded answers from FIFA directly. They'd already sold seats that no longer existed. Fans who'd planned their whole summer around this were left holding nothing. Then a second problem appeared. Here's the detail that should bother you more than the ticket story itself. Back in 2017, while FIFA was bidding to bring this World Cup to the US, Gianni Infantino said plainly that any qualified team supporters and officials need access to the host country. Otherwise, in his own words, there is no World Cup. That promise is 9 years old now. Iran's Federation president still can't get a visa. Iran's own fans still can't get a ticket through official channels. The man who promised access is now watching it disappear. FIFA says it's working with Iran's federation to find solutions. It hasn't explained who actually pulled the tickets. And FIFA's response made everything worse. If this story has gripped you, subscribe. Because the real twist isn't the VAR call. It's everything that happened before it. What do you do when your own anthem gets booed in the city you're playing in? Iran's players heard it twice. First against New Zealand, then again before Belgium. Jeers loud enough that multiple outlets at the stadium reported them clearly. Here's the nuance most coverage skips. Those boos weren't really aimed at the team. They came largely from Iranian-American protesters opposing the country's current government, not the players wearing the jersey. Outside team hotels in Tijuana, it looked completely different. Sina Moghadam, an Iranian-American who drove down from San Diego, stood at the fence with tears in his eyes as the coach walked past. The same diaspora that protests also shows up to cheer. Both things are true about this crowd at once. But the fans were only seeing half the story. 11 minutes into the match at SoFi Stadium on June 21st, Iran nearly took the lead. Ihsan Hashafi disguises a free kick, slides a reverse pass through Belgium's wall, and Mehdi Taremi buries it low past Thibaut Courtois. For about 4 seconds, Iran is ahead of one of Europe's most talented squads. Then the flag goes up. VAR rules it offside. Taremi's run, marginal but real, while teammates around him compounded the call. 4 seconds of belief, erased by inches. Belgium spent the rest of the match trying to make that disallowed goal feel irrelevant. They never did. Iran held them to 0. What happened next made it worse. Iran's offside call was correct. Not biased, not political, not another World Cup officiating controversy. The automated system got it right, full stop. The real injustice happened before kickoff, not during it. By the time Taremi struck that ball, Iran had already survived a war, a relocated base camp, denied visas for their own federation president, and a vanished ticket allocation. A clean VAR call wasn't the system failing Iran. It was almost a relief, proof that, for 90 minutes, at least one part of this tournament worked exactly the way it was supposed to. Compare that to how often this tournament's officiating has been questioned elsewhere, and a correct call almost looks rare. Belgium and Iran walked into that match with completely different resources. Belgium fielded Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, and a goalkeeper in Thibaut Courtois, considered among the best alive, a squad ranked among Europe's deepest. Iran fielded a roster that hadn't played a competitive match together since February, because the war shut down their domestic league. The favorites couldn't beat 10 men for half the game. Belgium had a man sent off in the second half and still couldn't find a winner. The result leaves Group G with 3 draws from 3 games. Belgium, Iran, and New Zealand all sitting on 2 points, with Egypt just ahead of them on the table. Seattle on June 26th. Win, and they reach the round of 32 for the first time in their World Cup history. Egypt arrives top of Group G off 2 draws of their own, needing only a point themselves to go through. Iran's whole tournament comes down to 90 more minutes. Win that, and everything before it, the war, the border, the missing tickets, the disallowed goal, becomes the backstory to history instead of the whole story. Lose it, and all of it becomes something else entirely. A remarkable effort that still ended in an early flight home. Iran survived a war, a relocated base camp, denied visas, and a vanished ticket allocation, and still walked away with a point. Was FIFA just following the rules, or did politics decide this group before a ball was even kicked?